Welcome to Coaching Uncut, a special series on the Unstoppable Woman podcast, where I take you behind the scenes and give you a peek into the private coaching I do with my clients. All of these coaching calls have been recorded with the permission from my clients who have generously allowed me to share these with you as a way of helping more people in this world. They give you access to master level coaching and the opportunity to learn the lessons that they're learning right along with them. Please keep in mind that these recordings are not studio productions and the audio quality may be less than ideal, but the content will take you far and help you become unstoppable. With that, listen in and learn.
Have you considered whether you have gap thinking or gain thinking in your business? Do you know the difference between gap versus gain thinking? When you look at your financials, your business in general, or even your life, it's important for you to train yourself to look at the gain without ignoring the gap and without getting into magical thinking. In this episode of Coaching Uncut, I talk with my client about her operating expense budget, that reserve that feels so important and is so important, and a perspective that will keep her growing in her life and in her business. Listen in if you want to shift from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking without having that magical thinking that keeps you playing out the same patterns again and again and not growing. Okay, with that, enjoy this episode. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. I'm excited. I had a great call with my HTM coach, putting me in a unique headspace right now that I wanted to share with you. But all in all, thumbs up.
Awesome. Okay, tell me all about it.
So one of the things that I've noticed historically, I've never had as much in reserves as I do right now in preparation for being out, which is wonderful. I have the equivalent of my operating expenses for 1 month in my operating account right now. Highest it's ever been, which is wonderful. But it was interesting because I was sitting down and I was chatting and, what I had noticed is, and we've talked about this a little bit, I'm impatient. And in my impatience, it leads to a scarcity mindset because I'm not measuring stuff correctly. And that was one of the big things we were focusing on. And I just downloaded a book that on the same conversation when we've had our peer, like hot seat calls between myself and her, focusing on the gain instead of the gap. When I'm not where I want to be, stop focusing on the gap, focus on the gain where I've come to from where I was. And it was just interesting because in trying to do this flip, focusing on the gain, not the gap, I also came to an odd conclusion with a conversation another peer of mine had on a different coach's call on Sunday, that I view my operating account and the balance in my operating account as a trophy of success. And if I'm having to withdraw from my trophy of success, I'm not successful. And it just, it gets me a little wonky. But it was interesting because we were chatting, more about that. That's the whole purpose you have that there. So like I said, it was where we were starting out with my comment of, I love business plans. I love marketing plans. But a budget stresses me out because I grade myself against my budget. And if I'm not hitting my budget, I just grade myself too harshly for not hitting. Kind of like your story that you've always given about your wanting to, pass the 7 figures and you had a wonderful gain. But in that moment, you were focused on the gap instead of the gain of where you got to. I've heard it now in the last 2.5 weeks from 4 different people in 4 different ways, and realizing that they're all echoing the same message. So I've downloaded The Gap and the Gain for my flight on Friday to listen to while I'm flying.
That's
the book.
Great.
So
okay.
That's kind of where I'm at, and I wanted to share with you.
I love it. I love the recognition. I love the level of awareness. I love that it's coming from all the places, right? You know, that you're getting it from all
Yeah.
sides. And the thing that I will add to that for you is that, and this is not going to come as a surprise, but it will be a different angle on it. Think of and more, okay? Because if you only go to the game, although it's motivating, there's an element of that can happen for people. I don't think it would happen for you, but it can happen for people, that you start having magical thinking and not looking at what's not working well, what elements of the plan you do need to pay attention to. So it's important to look at both, not just flip 100% to the gain. You need to use the gain for momentum. You need to use the gain to recognize that you've actually done really well, okay? And have discernment about, okay, and maybe my new goal is I want 3 months of operating expenses, right? So that my new norm is I never go below 2 or I never go below 1 or something like that. And then if something happens in the business where you do have to tap into it, you're grateful for having planned, you're grateful for having done the work and having the resources to make the decisions you want to make, so you don't beat yourself up, and you then raise your bottom limit again, right? You're like, okay, that happens just for this interim. We fill that right back up and more, okay? And I know that and more sometimes flips people out. Like, how can I keep growing this? This was so hard to get to 1 month. Shouldn't I just be happy with that? Yes, huge, okay? And if you want to keep growing, you're going to want to have 3 months in there. And then you're going to want to, every time you dip into the 3 months, you put a timeline on when you refill it, plus a little bit more, okay? So that your subconscious mind doesn't get in the habit of dipping in and going back to your old set point. Make sense?
It 100% makes sense, and you're going to see something unique with her and I on our Parisian trip, because, you know, we're both doing the HTM 365 thing, and our month's assignment this month, which is going to be interesting, is to not use credit cards and only use cash. And so her and I have already been talking about how this is going to be a little difficult in France, but that will be interesting because it's kind of like what you're talking about with the awareness. You know, cash makes you much more aware.
Yeah, it's going to be super easy for you. Use your debit card. You don't have to carry around cash with you. I mean, you're going to want some. But if you have a bank debit card that has a Visa symbol on it, you can use it in stores, but have it debit your bank account instead of being on your credit card.
And one last comment, the and more comment. And I think that's the flip that I need to do. It's not focusing on the gain and then the climb to get over the gap. It's just the permission of and more, you know?
It's the permission of and more, and it's the concept of holding yourself to a higher standard without making yourself wrong, okay? So what you articulated at the beginning of the call was, if you ever dip into it, you make yourself wrong.
Exactly.
You don't want to do that. It's there for a reason. However, you also don't want to stay in a cycle, a pattern of continually cycling back to that set point, okay?
Yes.
So that's where you want to keep raising the amount that you keep in there, and that's the standard.
Yes. Lovely. And as I say all the time when I'm talking to you, it's amazing how I've been hearing your story now since 2018 about the not hitting your 7-figure goal, and hearing you say exactly, instead of focusing on the gap, your gain was amazing. I've heard that since 2018 from you, but I'm hearing it in a different way because I'm in a different place. And it's just, it fascinates me how much stuff that I've heard before that I'm hearing differently. And it's kind of cool.
Isn't it?
As a side note.
It's truly amazing, and it is truly cool. And this is a testament to your growth mindset. Many people will say, oh, I heard that story already, or I know that already. And those are the words of limitation. Those are the words of, I refuse to grow. Because what happens is if you receive it again, it may be the same information, but you're at a different level of awareness. You'll hear it differently. You'll apply it differently. You'll get higher level results. And people often want to chase after new or different rather than here's the concept. Let's just apply it this higher level. So I appreciate you saying that. I love that about you.
Yes.
Cool.
And with that, take care.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for Coaching Uncut. If you loved what you learned today, please leave us a comment and let us know. We always love a thumbs up or a 5-star review, so thank you in advance for that. And if you want to take your life and your business to the next level and it's time to scale, please reach out to us and schedule a consult at theunstoppablewoman.com/next level. So that's theunstoppablewoman.com/next level. See you in the next episode. Rock it out and be unstoppable.